In the repair shop today, a kitchen playset from the 30s.
So I need to just make a handle for this. It's got so many bends and twists on it. I know this is going to be difficult.
Has got Steve all fired up.
I can't wait to see when we light it up and boil the kettle of water.
And it's an open and shut case for Susie.
Found a key.
She's in her element, faithfully restoring a fellow saddler's handiwork.
This is one of my favourite things to do. It starts to really give the case its life back.
Awaiting the barn's first arrival are Jay and stringed instrument restorer Becky Loughton.
You said a viola's better than the spoons?
It
I
is.
thought the spoons was the best instrument.
Viola's best instrument by a long way.
OK.
Yeah.
Nick Clare from Cambridge and his daughter Vicky are hoping she can restore harmony to a musical keepsake.
Hello. Hello. How you doing?
Hiya.
You all right? Fine, thanks. Yeah. So tell me, is there a violin in there?
Yes, no shotgun this time.
OK,
Right. Yeah.
Let's have a look. Oh,
Or parts of a violin, let's put it that way.
OK. It's in bits, isn't it?
Absolutely, yes.
Had a lot of love.
Whose violin is this?
It was my grandfather's. My grandfather, Abe, he was born in 1884. He was born in the Bahamas. He was in Nassau.
Right.
He came to Germany to play with in one of the orchestras in which he played this violin. He was in Germany, I believe, during the First World War.
Right.
But he couldn't have been more than 20, 25.
As a black young man going there and playing in a band, they wouldn't just have anybody, really.
No, it must have been very difficult for him as well. And then after the war, he came to England, got married. He married a white lady.
What year are we talking?
He married in Gravesend in 1921. This was many years before Windrush. And,
Yeah, that's very early.
Yeah, it was early. And at the same time, he joined a band in the UK known as Ken Johnson's West Indian Orchestra. They were the first black band to play in the UK.
Cool.
So what sort of tunes did they play?
It was jazz, really.
Jazz.
And I met him twice in my life, but I was only 4, 5 probably.
OK.
He came across as an extremely quiet and gentle man.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, passed away in 1958, so I didn't get to know him very much.
Right.
Fortunately, I have actually heard him play because there are recordings when he was playing with Ken Johnson, so that's nice.
How did you get this? Was this from your dad?
Yes, my dad, when his father died, my dad was bequeathed this.
Yeah.
But he couldn't play. He played guitar in other bands.
Right.
But he never played violin. It was small enough to hide away in the attic.
Yeah.
So this hasn't been played since...
It's never been played in my lifetime.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Your grandfather had, what, he's got a musical bug. Your dad has. Please tell me it's passed down the line.
You was a drummer.
I was a drummer in a band.
Well, that's all right.
Yeah.
And then
And I
yourself?
play a little bit of flute, a little bit of harmonica, a bit of guitar. I do like the drums as well.
And now Vicky said she wants to learn to play violin.
Yeah.
Ah.
So,
They're very special things, so...
yeah.
You know, it's so sad to see something get to this point.
Yeah.
Instruments shouldn't be like this. To hear the sound that my great-granddad made on that violin would
Right.
be amazing.
Okay. So instantly you can see we've got a big crack running down there.
Yes.
The only way to fix that is to take the front off, so it's going to have to be taken apart completely.
OK.
If I'm able to fix this violin up so it's playable...
It will mean the world to me. I've always sort of felt the presence of my great-grandfather's music influence, so I'll be able to hear the sound that he was hearing playing through the instrument, and hopefully I'll do it some sort of justice and...
So no pressure then.
No. Thank you for bringing this in. You guys take care now.
Thanks
Thank
very
you.
much.
Bye.
See you again.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Bye-bye. I'm excited. It would just be so nice to be able to hear it All instruments are there to be played. That's their prime objective. With Vic learning to play it proficiently as well.
No pressure.
I can hear it as well. That's,
I hope so.
that's the good part.
To think of my great-granddad actually playing the same instrument all them years ago, it would mean a lot to me, definitely.
It is messed up, though, isn't it? Wow.
Technical term.
Very technical term. So how long have you been repairing violins?
About 14 years now, so I've done a few.
Wow.
So I do violins, violas, cellos, double basses if I have to.
And have you ever seen anything as broken as this one? Because this one's quite bad.
I have seen things a lot more broken this one, which is
promising.
good.
Yeah.
But, yeah, restoring cracks is always a bit iffy. It could break anywhere. So what I don't want is too much wood to split out.
Too much wood to split out?
Yeah, when you take it off, you will lose little bits of the front. They'll get attached to the ribs.
Wow.
So it's a big job.
Big job. For such a small instrument. There
Absolutely.
you go. All right. I'll let you get on with it then.
OK, thank you.
You're more than welcome.
The first thing I need to tackle is getting this front off. We've got to get this crack fixed and make it secure and stable again. This is actually an old style bread and butter or dinner knife, and I use that for lots of things, including taking fronts off violins. I'm very, very gently wiggling this knife from side to side. Ah, we're in. That's good. Now I'm into the top bout here. I can just gradually carry on working my way round, and then we can get the front off. Even though I've done this loads of times, every violin is always different, and you just don't know how it's going to behave, so it's always a worry when you get to this bit. And I think, there we go. Phew! And it's all fine, so that's a relief.
Outside, another visitor. Jane Griffin from Surrey has a childhood curiosity in need of Steve Fletcher's mechanical know-how to get it firing on all cylinders once again.
Hello.
Hello.
How you doing?
Fine. There.
And what have we got in the box?
A little toy cooker.
A cooker?
Yes.
All right, let's have a look. It doesn't really cook anything.
It does cook.
Oh, it does cook.
Real cooking.
Whoa.
This is a kid's toy.
Yes.
I can't see any leads at all.
That's because it has 2 little tubes.
Right.
You would fill with methylated spirits here.
Whoa.
And you've got 2 little wicks at each end, and when this gets put back in, it heats up underneath.
A real cooker gets hot, cooks stuff, and kids play with it.
I used to play with it for hours, and I used to actually make food.
And what did you cook?
You know, we're not going to eat in a hurry, no microwave meals.
Right.
So you'd heat the water there, and then in these little pots, one would take peas quite happily, and then if you had baby carrots, you could get a few in there. This can hold 2 fish fingers. So you can actually make dinner.
OK.
And I don't remember ever getting burnt or anything. I stopped playing with it, or rather I was stopped. When it started to just get a really dark patch here and my mum was worried, so she encouraged me not to light it anymore.
Who gave you this?
It was actually given to me by my godfather and his wife. He was Uncle Arthur and she was Eileen, so Auntie Eileen. They couldn't have children, so I was given all of her toys. I think she was given this for Christmas when she was a little girl, because I've still got the lid of the box.
And the date on there is what, 19?
It looks like the 7th of December, 1937.
Why have you brought it into us? What do you want us to do with it?
I absolutely love this. It's got so many memories, but it hasn't been out of my loft for a few years now. And about a year ago, I went into the loft to have a tidy up.
Yeah.
And just sobbed. It's that rust that broke me. And I felt so ashamed that it had lived for so long.
Yeah.
And it just turned to rust. When this was last seen, it was shiny, so shiny like this on the top. It had one little dark patch on it. And apart from a couple of handles that are missing, there was nothing wrong with it. I'd love to have it on display somewhere so that people can actually see it.
Would you like to see it just one more time? Just heating something up?
There's a little bit of me that would.
You're smiling because I know, I can see you thinking he wants to get it working.
Yeah, of course I do. Yeah, I mean, just the whole point is to see that working. I'd love to just to heat some water up.
Yes, it would probably be nice. One last hurrah for it.
Thank you for bringing us in and making this young man younger.
Cook you a Sunday roast.
If you're doing that, I want an invite.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
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 I've got to get this fired up. What do you fancy for dinner?
No, I'll be all right. I'll get a takeaway.
It's just my childhood, just wrapped up in the coolest little box of metal, and to have it restored so I could share the stories of using it would just mean the world to me.
On the whole, this is in really, really good condition for its age. The paintwork is great, just a matter of cleaning up everything, getting the rust off, making some handles. Can't smell any fish fingers. This metal is really quite thin, so I don't want to rub it down too much because there is always a danger of going through. This is working really well. Once I've gone all over it, I'll have to use a finer wet and dry paper and get a nice, smooth, shiny finish on it. And then I'll treat it with something so that it won't rust at all.
Becky is also striving for a nice, smooth finish as she begins the fiddly task of fixing the large crack on the jazz musician's violin.
If I leave any dirt in it, it's going to create a black line right down the front of the instrument. I'm very, very carefully using a knife just to loosen the dirt so that I can get the warm water into it and hopefully lift it away with no damage to the sides of the crack. It won't work if it's got a crack, it'll buzz. So it's really important that I get the crack completely stable. It's very painstaking, but well worth getting right. Yeah, that's lifting off nicely. Pleased with that. Once this is done and dried, I'm going to be able to then start thinking about clamping up, ready for gluing. I'm really pleased with how this crack has cleaned up. I'm just flexing the wood just to make sure that I can get enough glue in here. I'm using a reversible glue, has a very quick drying time. So I've practiced putting the clamps on a couple of times. I know where I want them to go. Fingers crossed, we can get everything done before the glue goes off. I'm just going to open it a little bit. Here we go. Right. Gently whisk off any excess there. Let's get the clamps on. I'm not going to know exactly how it's gone until I take these clamps off once I've glued it. Always a bit of a nerve-wracking experience, this. Next one on here. Really now, it's fingers crossed and wait until the clamps come off. I've now completely glued the crack. I'm really pleased with how it's gone together. The joins are really good. So now the time has come to put the front back on, which is always a really nice thing to do. So I'm going to fit clamps all around the outside of this violin so that I can make sure the front's in the right place, and then I'm going to glue it. Because the glue sets so quickly, you can only glue in small sections. So if you've got it all clamped up before you start, you can just take off a couple of clamps, glue a little bit, put them back on, and then work round very carefully and slowly. I want this violin to sound as good as it did when Abe played it. So if I can get this front on perfectly, I've got a good chance of that happening.
Next, Leslie Faithfull has travelled from Sheffield, clutching a precious piece of craftsmanship that she'll only entrust to the hands of master sadler, Susie Fletcher.
Hello.
Hello, I'm Leslie.
Very nice to meet you.
You too.
What have you brought me today?
My granddad made this case.
Really?
Yeah. He was a saddler and harness maker, and he made this for my dad in 1947.
Oh, how lovely.
For his first job. And I think he would have liked Dad to have taken on the saddlery business, but Dad didn't want to do that. Dad became an electrician. So it's a lovely thing to do, isn't it? Especially as I think Dad probably felt he'd let the side down a bit by not carrying on the family business.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, well, he certainly loved it and used it until it dropped to bits by the looks of it. My daughter and I found it when we were clearing Mum and Dad's house. Mum died about 3 years ago. It was like, oh yes, I remember that. It's the one that Grandad made for Dad.
What's your granddad's name?
Fred Faithfull.
What a great name. Love that.
He was a saddler in East Grinstead for 60 years.
OK.
But during the First World War, he went out to Alexandria. The story that went with Grandad was that he made harnesses and boots for elephants.
Elephants?
No, I'm not sure that was true. As a child, thought that must have been, made up. I remember a lot of times being in his workshop, and I used to go after school and sit in the workshop, and he'd show me stuff that he was doing.
Oh.
It's only when you kind of rediscover something, it just takes me right back to being with Grandad.
Yes.
And when Grandad retired in 1973, he sold his tools to a young woman. And I remember that because I thought how unusual it was at the time.
That's when I came into the industry, and it was still very much a male-dominated industry. I had to find somebody that was willing to take me on as an apprentice because I was the wrong gender.
Gosh, well, I'm sure if Grandad had known, he would have had you like a shot.
This is just so delightful to have something to work on that was made by another saddler, because it just is always exciting for me to see what somebody did.
It's looking very sad. It's obviously well worn, and this inside is starting to flake away.
Does the zip on the back still work?
It does, but the lock doesn't. It shuts, but there's no key. We couldn't find a key anywhere for it.
OK. So. Would you like to be able to use it?
Yes, absolutely. I do want to use it. So what I'm hoping is that we can keep some of the things that Grandad had. All these photographs from the First World War, we've got his diary. It will be part of Grandad's legacy, I think, and hopefully take it out and about as well.
Well, I'll do my very best.
Thank you so much, and I look forward to coming back and picking it up. Thanks, Susie.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.
Grandad and Dad were very similar, so this briefcase is kind of emblematic of their relationship, my granddad's skill and craft, and my relationship with Grandad and Dad. Being able to use it will just be really lovely and really important. It can continue its life, if you like.
This is always such a treat for me to see another saddler's work, and I'm happy to say that this is a really lovely piece. Overall, it is a little bit dry. The areas of wear are where you expect them to be. This fold, that has just got quite weak over the years and has split. I'll replace these straps on the front, and I will recover this handle rather than replace it. As far as the lock is concerned, it's just missing a key. So I'm going to see if Steve has a key that will fit this, because he has this huge collection, and I'm sure he won't notice if I steal one. The very first area that I need to tackle is this handle, and I'm just going to open up the metalwork. Okay. There we go. So what I'll do with the handle is recover it. It's really important that I keep as much of the original possible, especially as Leslie's father held this in his hand.
At his bench, Susie's big brother Steve is cooking with gas on his restoration of the rusty 1930s toy cooker.
I'm using some really fine wire wool with a metal polish on it. This is the final stage of cleaning and polishing the top of this. But it won't be mirror shiny because it's too pitted where the rust has been, but it'll be really worthwhile. I'm just going to take the metal polish off. That has come up really, really well. That looks great. I'm very, very happy with that. And it looks the age that it's supposed to be, which is marvellous. The pots and pans have cleaned up really well. Another thing I need to address is a broken handle that I've got to fix on, but there's also a missing handle. So I need to just make a handle for this, and I've got a piece of wire that I'm going to use for that. And I just need to bend it into the right shape, which seems quite easy, but it's got so many bends and twists on it that I know this is going to be difficult. These pliers are slightly tapered, so I'm going to push them over the existing handle just to see where I should bend the wire. This is stainless steel, which is quite tough to bend. OK, I think that's just about right to start with. Right, so I've got to put these bends here, and to get those nice and even, I'm going to pop it into the vise so that I can bend it down evenly both sides. That looks great. So I just need to drill some holes in this now, and then I can fix it on. Worked really well. I hope that Jane won't be able to see which is the new one and which is the original.
Becky has been hitting all the right notes with her repair, and the early 1900s violin is nearly performance ready.
Abe had these old gut strings on the violin. I'm not going to fit gut strings. They're really difficult to play. They don't stay in tune very well, and string technology has come on so much. I've brought a whole stack of strings with me. I'm going to try and get as closest to the sound of the gut strings that Abe would have had, but also make it really, really perfect for Vicky. Some people think that beginners just can make do with anything. That's absolutely not the case. I think it's got to be as spot on as it would be for professionals. There's still some tinkering around to do, and then it'll be all ready for Nick and Vicky to collect, which I'm very excited about.
This worn-out violin is a connection to a great-grandfather and passionate musician who played in one of Britain's first jazz bands a century ago. Now Nick has returned with daughter Vicky, who's hoping to fulfill her dream to take up the instrument herself.
I'm feeling quite nervous, quite anticipation really, and I'm just looking forward to hearing the sound, knowing that Abe used to play that. It'll feel as though I've heard him.
I've always had a connection to Abe, sort of felt like he's been there, given me inspiration. For me to play his instrument would be just amazing.
Hiya. Hello.
How you both doing?
Yeah, not too
Fine, thanks.
Look at that smile.
Yeah.
You come here for something, haven't you?
Oh, yes.
Because when you brought it in, it was unplayable. You couldn't play.
Oh, totally. So I thought that was it. It'll never come back together as an instrument.
Yeah. So what dream have you got? What's underneath there?
I'm dreaming of something that's got 4 strings that are attached to the rest of the body of the violin and that can be played.
No pressure then.
There's none at all. None at all.
I've done a lot of work for you.
I bet.
I just hope you like it.
Yeah. You guys ready?
OK, yeah.
OK.
Absolutely.
Oh my God.
Struth. Grief.
Wow. Look at it.
Oh, wow.
Look at that.
Oh,
You've done an amazing job.
That's fantastic. Oh, that is brilliant. Smashing. Yeah.
I'm so glad you like it.
Yeah, I love it.
Really
I'm a bit speechless, to be honest. I didn't think it would look as good as that.
Thanks ever so much.
It's
Oh,
beautiful.
good grief.
It's absolutely beautiful.
So the main problem was the crack. So I fixed all that and tried to touch in the patina just to make it look used and loved, but not brand new.
All
It's
one, yeah.
perfect. And it still looks like his violin.
It looks the part. Do you guys want to hear it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Becky, do you see on us?
Lovely sound.
It was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I'm kind of speechless. It's amazing.
Yeah?
It sounds beautiful.
It's actually waking up and it's going to get more and more of its voice back the more you play it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Knowing Pop's played it is just amazing in itself. To be able to hear it again, I can imagine him.
I can imagine it as well. Yeah.
Actually doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
It's been a real pleasure to work on it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So you ready to get it home and start practicing now?
Oh gosh, yeah.
Go and treasure it now.
I will.
Yeah. All right.
Thanks very
Thanks,
much.
guys.
Take care
Bye.
now.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. And you can play. I'm going to get you more violins now. Jazz ones.
I hope that by me taking on the responsibility of playing this violin, I do it some justice.
I just never expected to see it back together, and I think Becky's done a fantastic job. And it sounds so brilliant as well.
Beautiful sound, yeah. It's awesome.
Back inside, Susie's getting to grips with preserving the tattered handle of the 1940s leather briefcase, crafted by a fellow master sadler.
I've got a leather here that matches the original colour really well, but it's the sort of leather that's actually quite stiff. Put a little bit of moisture on it, and now I'm going to put some contact solution on. This is a tacking glue that actually I use a lot for just getting leather glued into a position to begin with before I sew it together. So I'm making sure that I get it down into all these little nooks and crannies. It's nice and tacky now, so I think now I can present the two. Recovering the handle is going to ensure that Leslie can actually use it with confidence. I use this bone because it's got very defined edge to it, so it's not going to damage the leather, but you're going to get that crisp line that you're looking for. Something that a lot of leather workers use. It's very traditional. I use it all the time. I just need to let this cure ready for the stitching. So now I can move on to an area in the gusset here where the leather has got really, really dry, and over time, the fibres just tear. What I'm going to do is put a length of this thin leather on the inside along where that tear is. And I can go over it with a little bit of dye, and I think Leslie will be hard-pressed to see that there was ever any damage there. I just pop this on the ruler just to try and help me get this into the right position. Okay, let's have a look, see what's going on. I can do the final pressing with my hands. So that's feeling really good. And then once it's fully dry, it's not going to split anymore. Inside here has become a bit raggedy, so I want to reline this with a similar colour piece of leather, just to give it a much nicer, tidier appearance. I've got my dad's briefcase, which is very, very similar to this, that he used to keep his music in. And it's really nice just to hold it, and I instantly think of Dad when I look at it. So I completely empathise with Leslie, knowing not only was this her dad's, but her grandfather made it, and I think that is really incredible. Once that leather's glued into position, I can go ahead and start the conditioning process, get it back into really good condition to hand back to Leslie. This has really gone quite nicely. Always grateful for that.
It's a pivotal moment for Steve. His clean-up operation of the toy cooker is complete, and now comes the time to spark it back to life.
This is one of the burners that goes into the toy cooker, and there was a wick missing, so I'm just going to use this lamp wick, and hopefully I'm going to be able to feed that into there, and it should soak up the mess, and then I can light it. Well, that's pushed in there nicely. There's a fair bit of heat coming from there. I can't wait to see Jane's face when we light it up and boil the kettle of water. It'll probably take her back to her childhood.
It's been over 40 years since this little cooker last boiled a kettle, having been stowed away in the loft, gathering rust. Now Jane is back to reclaim her treasured toy.
The toy cooker is really special to me because it's all the memories of my childhood, freedom and being able to play like a grown-up. I'm really excited, just really, really excited to see it.
Hello.
Hello.
How you doing?
OK. It's been that excitement and everything else, so I've been a bit...
Are you hoping to cook on it?
I would love to, but that's lethal. And I can't believe my mum allowed me to cook with it.
Hopefully this is going to bring back some memories.
Yes.
Yeah? You ready to see it?
Yes. You can't even see that I completely wrecked it. Oh, and the little handles are back on. Thank you. Thank you so much. I think it's even better than I remember it. And I can't believe you've brought it up so beautifully. It's still my little cooker.
It's still all totally original.
I'm so, so happy. Thank you so much.
We've not even tried cooking anything on it. We thought we might just try boiling some water in the kettle.
Can we? So,
Look at that.
look.
Perfect timing, eh? That looks hot to me,
Oh, that does.
Yeah.
Steaming.
Oh, I'm really pleased.
Yeah? You happy?
Yeah.
It's cool, isn't it?
It is cool.
So what's the future for your little cooker? Where's it going?
It's going to go in my dining room. It's not going back in a loft. There's
Excellent.
no way.
Yes.
There we go.
Jane, thank you for bringing it in. I'll get the door for you.
Thank you so much, and thank you.
Bye-bye now.
Seeing my cooker again without the rust was amazing. I couldn't believe what Steve had done to it. When I get home, the cooker is going on display in my dining room so that whenever I'm cooking, I can just look over at where it is and smile about when it was fun to cook rather than having to do chores.
Rejuvenating the dried-out 1940s briefcase is proving anything but a chore for leather restoration queen Susie.
This is one of my favourite things to do because it starts to really look refreshed, and you really give the case its life back. It's just by putting the initial coating of the conditioner on, I can already see it's filling in a lot of the areas where it's got scuffs and scrapes. It's very clear that Leslie's grandfather used a really good quality leather in the first place. I mean, it's a testament to his skill, but also in his choice of materials. So this is filling me with huge amounts of confidence. Once I finish with all of the conditioning, I need to see if I can find a key.
Luckily for Susie, she doesn't have far to look.
Steve has this immense collection of keys. Every time he goes to a car boot sale, if he sees a bunch of keys, he just buys them because it comes in very handy for his clocks, but also happen to know that it works for briefcase locks as well. So that sounds like it's locking, and indeed, found a key. How wonderful is that? Now, the case is complete. I better go and tidy these keys up before Steve gets back.
This leather briefcase was lovingly handcrafted by a master sadler for his son, who used it until retirement. A tangible link to her father and grandfather, Leslie's back, optimistic that Susie has been able to give it a new lease of life.
I think Grandad would be absolutely thrilled to know that his briefcase and some of his work was being resurrected. I'm very much looking forward to reclaiming it as a part of the family.
Hello, Leslie.
Hello.
Hello, how you
Hello,
doing?
nice to see you.
Likewise. How you feeling?
I'm very excited, anticipating what's under there.
Okay. No apprehension then?
No, because I know that you will have done a lovely job.
Look at her, see? She has faith. See, everybody has
Complete
faith in you.
confidence.
Same here. I think she's ready to sit.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Oh, wow, that is just exquisite. And of course, the first thing I'm going to do is smell it. Oh, look at that. It's just magical because it was frayed and dry, and now you can feel how soft it is and how restored it is. You've done a fantastic job of retaining its history and the care and the love with bringing it back to life. It's just absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much.
Oh, look at you.
I'm so happy.
I'm very excited. I would like you to see how that works.
Oh, wow. Oh, my goodness.
What I will say is the lock is quite old, so just be gentle.
Fantastic. Thank you. That's just the icing on the cake. It's been an absolute delight to meet you. Thank you.
It's been a delight for me, and so, to see your grandfather's work, it's amazing.
Thank you.
Leslie, thank you for bringing it in. You take it home now.
Yeah.
Ready for its travels.
Thank you so much. Thank you again, Susie, and especially for finding the key and for making it just so beautiful. Thanks, Jane.
Very well.
Oh,
Yeah.
you take care now.
You too.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. See her holding it?
Yeah.
It's you, Dad.
Oh, it's wonderful.
When I lifted the briefcase up and smelt it, it took me right back to being in Grandad's workshop. I'm just absolutely thrilled that Susie has been able to resurrect a beautiful object which will now be able to be used. And I think my dad would be absolutely delighted. So yes, I think they would both be absolutely thrilled.